I see you in everything. I see myself in your eyes. I see you in everything. I see you in everything. I see myself in your eyes. I see you in everything.
All right, what's up, guys? Let's get it. Morning. What's up, Nick? Caius. Got the whole gang in here today. I'll get into the chat here in a bit. But let's dive into the market right now, yeah? So I'm seeing in the chat a lot of you guys are interested in oil sells, oil shakeout, and I do see New York highs get swept, London highs get swept. After we take out London, New York, the market works its way all the way back to here. It kind of sits here for what, 10 minutes, 8 minutes or so, and kind of slowly starts to work its way back up. I kind of see why there's a little bit of a back and forth here in the chat. Whether you're taking it or not, where the market starts to take out more liquidity, including London highs and New York highs, like where that begins, kind of starts over here. Like it slows down, it chops up, and then you get like one more move. So the market working its way down and breaking below this level, like especially counter trend, I really would have rather seen a break, like a 1 minute break of structure, kind of go for a mitigation, or just one aggressive movement and maybe see this go a little longer. So I'm kind of back and forth with this idea, especially because we've just been bullish overall. So it's not my favorite. So if you're basing your move off of the 5 minute, if you're like, okay, well, it looks like things start to pick up over here, then I do kind of get it. Like I see the allure. This is a good break, retest, if you will. I think I'm going to stay out of this one. I'm not convinced that it built up that much liquidity over here. So if it does play out, that's okay for me. I'm gonna go ahead and stay out of this one. I don't see enough liquidity built up here. I mean, there's a bit more over here. I'm just not sold. I've seen better setups. So I mean, hopefully it plays out for you. You know, like I want that to happen. I just don't have the conviction for this one. But you know what's interesting though is the timing. So this specifically coming into play here with New York Open, that does make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah. So all right. Yeah. I mean, I hope it plays out. What's up, everybody? So let's see if it breaks the lows. Cool. I'll have an alert here going. If it gets above, then we got that going on too. Okay. In the meantime, let's go take a look at indices and you know what's going on over here. All right, what do we got? What do we got going on? So yesterday, holy moly, Nasdaq was so bearish, S&P was so bearish, and the bulls. The Dow bulls win, and we took the dub on this bad boy right here. There was, in my opinion, two setups. You had the mitigation right here. So we had a nasty entry right at this low. We ended up getting in like right over here. And so that was epic. And we got to ride this up to right around here. And then I also took a second, so I took a shakeout setup here as well. Before we rallied, so I actually ended up collectively having, I think, a little over a 1, like, because I think the first trade was half risk, and then the second trade was like a 3/4 or a risk, something like that. So anyways, a good trade, good rally here. I like what we had. I took profit over here just because we did have New York Open. So I wasn't sure if we were going to reject out of here or not, so I was okay with just taking my profit. And then it just kept pushing. So this did have quite pretty awesome potential. So one of my entries was a 4R, and then the second entry was actually better for like a 3. No, never mind. It's just about the same, like a 3.5R. And so I can talk about management rules here. I'm gonna survey like what we have in front of us first, and then I can go into how we manage it, like how I manage it and why. But anyways, with this all being said, what we get after we break above here is we end up creating higher highs. We end up trading up here for the rest of New York session, for Asian session, and going into London session. So briefly after London session kicks off, we see just tons of bearish momentum. So we just see this thing work its way down, melt its way down. So what's interesting to me and what I'm curious about regarding just like what positions to take here, honestly, I want buys. I want buys for Dow, and I think that we can get them. The question is where. So where does the buy make the most sense here? And as we're looking at the market unfold, I mean, you see New York Open sell off super aggressively. So it's a massive move to the downside from over here. Like this is the entire liquidity move. I am seeing imbalance over here, and we're looking at here's like another last push down before the market rallies. Another little move right there. So I'm focused on taking a position really anywhere like in here. Now, of course, I want to be aware of NASDAQ and S&P, but I like entries like right around this zone. I understand if you want to place your stop loss down here. I think I'll be okay with my stop right here. And then the continuation, which would be, I'm going for higher highs today. So this would be valid if I have S&P or NQ to back that idea up, which I don't, right? As you guys are noticing, Dow is actually dropping a lot more aggressively than NASDAQ and S&P. So NQ over here was a lot slower, and we had some zones that we were aware of. I didn't really take any of these positions just because they was the most bearish. But after the market here, NQ has like just slowly chopping down and down and down and down and down, and then we get this last move here. So here's like the final move down, bringing this to a 786 pullback, rejecting off of this 1 hour order block, which is actually the first breakage structure on the smaller time frame over here. So once we got that, this last leg down takes out quite a bit of more liquidity as well. So we get over to here, and then following this, like this is our previous high right over here. So as soon as we break above this New York high, which was setting the structure, so here's where we were getting, lower lows, lower highs. So this is where we have the bullish trend start to prove itself during London, and the market holds up here for a solid 6 hours. To me, this is pretty good evidence that the market is relatively bullish, and that working our way back down to this area is going to be meaningful for buys. But that means that the market needs to drop quite a bit, right? So market starts to pull up here. So all of New York session, it's moving bullish and bullish and bullish. During Tokyo, you see a little move down, and then the market rallies as well. So something like this here, you kind of get one more move down, and it continues. This doesn't look like a clear liquidity capture before a continuation, so I don't know really how much volume would be behind something like this. The smart money rejection, I think it's just gonna come in a lot more aggressive down here. So I'm willing to just kind of wait it out until we get to these lower levels to take a position. So something like this, and we'll kind of see where we take this to. But yeah, this looks a bit more likely to work out over here on the 5-minute. So NASDAQ, at least right now, seems to be a bit more of the bull. So if I'm gonna look for buys, it looks like it's gonna be NQ. S&P somewhere in between. So you can also always tell how, like, okay, where is the bullish momentum, or what is holding, what has more bullish, I guess, energy than the other. NQ, not even a 38.2 pullback right now. NASDAQ on the other, or Dow Jones on the other hand, reversing a lot more aggressively below a 618. So if you had to buy the one that's dropping the least aggressively, and then go from there. So anyways, that's how it looks on the buying side. On the selling side, if we want to continue with the small time frame momentum, is there a place that makes sense for sales right now? For me, like, not really. Like, yes, the structure price action is lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Even here, right, we get some bullish push at 8 a.m. Market keeps going. Right before New York Open, it lures in buyers, and it just comes right back down. So it's not as it's just not super clear, in my opinion. I think we have a lot more, like, I think there's just better setups just in general. So yeah, I'm not really super convinced on selling yet. I don't see it clear. This was like a mediocre looking distribution. I wouldn't even, like, it just didn't liquidate very well. It just kind of like worked its way down. So structure wise, obviously everything is trending to the downside, but the bigger picture, it is still bullish. So thoughts on ES buys at 73.50. Right now, I definitely would rather buy NASDAQ than S&P. S&P currently sitting at like almost a 50% pullback. So I did have a zone over here. Like, here's where we start to get like this last leg down before it rallies. And then you have another even lower level here. So if you look at the big picture over here, where the market gaps down going into Asian Open, you still have this level. So I think it's worth taking a position. I like this idea because this is a pretty classic setup where the market briefly breaks a low to capture liquidity, and it just wicks into these areas and then rebounds. So I would not be surprised if we break S&P lows, especially because we didn't get above over here. So you see how we failed to make this high? Since we failed to make a new high and it immediately starts to distribute, I do think we can work our way down. And honestly, I believe we can get our way all the way down, even below this low, which means that we probably see Dow break below this. Now, so I'm not going to take a buy here. I don't think that's with so much bearish momentum. Look at the difference, right? Look at Dow. Dow's already at a 71% pullback on in this structure, and then Q's nowhere close, not even close. And then you have S&P kind of going back and forth. So yeah, NQ here, like here's the 1 minute. Everything was dropping together. NQ out of nowhere gets some bullish momentum on the last couple of minutes while Dow goes down. So I mean, overall they're kind of moving in unison, so I'm okay with just missing it. Like I'm not taking buys here, so I'm gonna delete this so you guys don't get confused. Invalid zone because it's the most bearish. So I do think this low is going to end up breaking through. I don't think it's going to last, despite structure, trying to get over to here. And the difference is, and we can look at this from a higher time frame, so we can zoom out even more, and because we've already played at it here a couple times, but we can get down to here, right? We can get down to these other levels. So let me see if this was still a valid zone. No, this is an older zone, I think. So where we haven't gotten to yet is this over here. This was an epic trade that you guys, some of you may remember from Cinco de Mayo. We sniped the bottom and this thing just went crazy. But if we go over here, so we go back to price action over here, there was the massive liquidity sweep right here off of New York Open. It just starts to bleed out like right there, and then it rallies. So as we zoom in to key price action from the past, so right over here, like here's where it all starts to just work its way down. To me, when we finally break above, we don't really come back to this area. So this zone overall is like a key area for reversals, in my opinion. Right now, I would much rather, I'm just giving you guys options and just perspective more than anything. So over here, and that's only if like things stay like this. For all we know, price action could flip. Dow wants to be more bullish, NQ keeps dropping. So for now, it's just not the case. But if we were to get down to here, there is a possibility that a buy could work out, and we take it. But in order for that to happen, a lot of other things need to happen. So the reason I marked this up is just so you're aware of where the market in the higher time frames, like what can it get to? What are likely, or not likely, but what are possible scenarios? So as we zoom out, for example, we never came back to mitigate this over here. This zone, after a big sell-off, we still haven't really gotten to. And considering that the market really struggled with these highs up here, and we don't get 1 hour higher high over here, in reality, this is the entire structure that we're trading within right now. We don't need to, be worried and like, oh no, I can't do anything because we have zones over here. We just got to know how long I want to hold trades to, whether you're buying and selling, and like what can really happen. So for the time being, this, in my opinion, was the beginning of the distribution, and we've only kept working our way down. So the market right now, on the 15-minute, we get above this high, but the 1 hour is just not convincing quite yet. So it can go either way, in my opinion, and I'll just respond to, however this is going to move. So we are getting an initial reaction out of here. Okay. And it flipped. It flipped on us. So the moment we started to see this drop down and then NQ started to go up, looks like that was the switch up in price action. And which at this point in time, I can't predict when that's going to happen. When all of a sudden it's like, wait, Dow is going up and NQ is going down again. Because look at how this was moving So let me just show you guys side by side. I definitely believe that this is the most irritating price action for me to trade in, when the markets are just not moving super close, like super correlated. Like they do, like here's London, and then they start to drop together. Here we go, right? This whole time, the market dumps together. And then as soon as New York Open hits, we start to see it flip. So as soon as New York Open hits over here, let's see, where's the actual minute that it starts to open, which was right there, here. They drop together, and then they start to like decorrelate from one another. So at like this moment, 8:39, NQ goes up, Dow goes down. The whole thing flipped on its head. So, and I said it did, right? I was like, here's, look, we're starting to see a difference. That could have been a sign to go, you know what? They're moving, you know, they're not going to move together anymore. They're moving in different directions. Just trade it independently. Either way, I don't know if this would have triggered my entry. I think my entry was a little bit lower. It was really close. So I don't know if I would have been in it anyways. But with all that being said, and maybe some of you took Dow anyways because it was a good zone, and maybe you saw that price action flip and you're like, no, I'm gonna send it. You know, I like it. I'm gonna go with the buy. So if anyone took the buy, let me know. Cheers, good stuff. Anything ever happen with oil? Is it just chilling there? It's just kind of back and forth, huh? Okay, and metals as well. Metals look like they're ready to be buys over here. It's a little trickier, right? Because you have silver with a big buy zone way down here, and it's holding really bullish, while you have gold working its way already down to like where you had this big spike down. So as attractive as it looks, gold on its own, I gotta hold off on gold because silver is it's trading way too high. So, okay. So with that being said, now price action has shifted. NQ is trading towards this 50% level. Dow with the big reaction, initially more aggressive to the downside, but now Dow is trading above the 50%. So look at the difference now. So to me, it looks like we're probably going to have a good buying position for Dow over here, because now we've mitigated here, so this has rejected well. I'm curious to go back to the recording and see if this would have triggered us in or not. I think I was a little bit lower than that. So we'll see. So now I want to see how we continue to rally from here. If how this is going to move. Because one thing that we can see is that the market is definitely being, they're not moving in unison, right? So here was the zone that we talked about with NQ, which was that Tokyo low where it pushed down one last time before it rallied. Looks like it held up super well. I'm not sure if anyone took that. Do you see the Tokyo low on NQ as a buy zone at all? Okay, so it looks like you were considering this here as well. I felt like I didn't really feel inclined to take this, even though there was that, you can see a pretty big push down to here. So yeah, I didn't really have the conviction to take it. But I understand why you were looking at it, for sure. I feel like this zone is this zone here is gonna bounce and then just keep going lower. So what do? Right? What are we doing here? Right now, honestly, I'm just letting this thing unwind. I'm not going to force a buy, so look at how we're going back and forth and back and forth. We see Dow sweep some of this liquidity that it built up for about an hour. And then it quickly goes up and it starts to trade sideways for really just a few minutes. So even though there's this swipe down and then the move up, this is a little sketchy to look for buys here. This if you're considering this a shakeout, I mean, you have a couple minutes of demand, but the fact that these are moving away from one another over and over again also is just this is wild. So this is not enough time for me to be like, yeah, high conviction buys. But a part of me does feel like something can rip from here. So if you were going to take a position, then I'd say very low risk. Let's see, what would it look like if I took like a super tiny risk? 5 units here. Okay. But I'm just not, I don't feel too convicted. This was not a lot of demand, very limited. I could see right now, the reason I think something is going to reverse, because we see it push up, go down, come back up again. I could see NQ wanting to go down from here, and then that leads to Dow wanting to push up from this range. But this is just moving so aggressive. It feels like you're really kind of rolling the dice on a move right here. So conviction, not super high. So if this was enough demand, then, maybe it's worth something. I want to kind of just see something here, so I'm cool with it. Oh, no, it's leaving. That's unfortunate. I wanted to see a reversal like right here. Something light just to kind of play it out. But because they're inverse correlated. So something part of me is like, let's see this one through. Yeah, I'll take it from right here. So light risk, like an eighth of a risk. Like, so typically I risk 500 on this account. I think I risk like 150 or something. The demand when it broke below and came back up here was a few minutes, so not extremely long. However, since the higher time frame had already the entire mitigation. So and the market is rejecting out of here pretty cleanly. Here's kind of how I think this is going to unfold, or how it could unfold. I feel like NQ is going to keep going down. And we see this really work its way down, maybe to this area over here. And that leads to Dow just going higher and like doing its thing. So kind of how yesterday, remember how yesterday, once the market was ready to reverse here at like right around 840, 850, right? Basically the same time. This is like the same entry times, the exact same entry times. So if you look at that and you look at this exact same entry times, you have, oh, you know what? Did I fuck this up? Okay, that's fine. You have Dow that just continued to go higher and higher and higher. So look at that. While you had NQ going lower and lower and lower and lower. So we had the exact opposite price action. And so I feel like we could see something similar happen where this works its way down to these levels while Dow does the exact opposite, and it's just grinding its way up. So took a lot of risk just to see it through, and yeah, we'll see what happens here. So the sell-off was roughly 90 points or so. If this is going to work out in our favor, the market would push a little bit more. So let's see. Want to see that continue to rally. Very light risk here, and then the continuation. I think we're just going to keep, if this does work out, I don't see why we wouldn't take out London, Tokyo highs and keep the rally going. Could this excuse me, and I want to show you guys something. Look at all this, right? Look at the squeeze that we're in right now. So if you look at the range that we've been trading in going back to last Thursday, we are sitting at a 6-day squeeze, just about. Yes, we break below every once in a while. But one thing that I also was thinking about was like these levels of support, these key levels of reversals at this like 49,550 range, whether it was resistance over here or support over here. And with that being said, this being a breakout day, or at least trading up into this zone, makes sense to me. With 6 days of squeezing, and it makes sense. Now at this point, the market has reversed well. So moving stops to here is my next step here. Plan my exit conservative 49,750. Conservative? Cool. Cool. Makes sense. Take the high and then just call it a day. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so let's see if my theory is right and if NQ is still dropping. Not really. Kinda. Like it dropped together. Let's see. Maybe. I think somewhat. And then S&P traded, took out Tokyo lows. So this was a liquidity grab on S&P's part. S&P sweeps Tokyo lows, some consolidation into the rebalance, and then rally. Interesting. All right, cool. So while that does its thing, oh, you know what? Let me double check something. I forgot to do this, but I had a challenge. I was pretty close to passing. I just don't remember how much I needed. So launch dashboard. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So oil alerts are going off over here. Okay, cool. So discernment here on this idea made sense to stay away from the zone. The market has now exploded. Oil is still just on an absolute rampage. Oil's journey to these key levels carries on. So here's where we had, at least here's where I was looking for some reversals. This was back in a couple weeks back. So let me go 1 hour for you guys. But first, some cafecito. Okay, Dow pushing nice, by the way. All right, I'll get into that in a second. Hold on. So we see the oil here from Tuesday, also last Tuesday, had that liquidity sweep and the market just dipped out. So let me zoom in a little more. Here was the move where oil 6 a.m. pumps and then dumps. If we wanted a replay, you do a little replay action. Get in depth over here. You see this is the liquidity sweep and then the market just reverses. So looking for sells around here just makes a lot of sense. Nice little distribution the whole way through, again and again. Yeah, this is just clear cut. Market's ready to do its thing. So we're almost there. Not really much that was, at least not for me, to make any buys or anything like that. I didn't really see a way to position ourselves for oil. So there were buys earlier that we were in, like over here at 90, which would have been epic to hold, but not quite there right now. There is this during London, this move down that then the market just had continued. So I wonder if we have something there, but gold, silver still working their way down. Dow pushing more. So fully came back to the highs that it made right after New York open. NQ still slowly working its way down. So we're definitely seeing Dow as more aggressive as a bull. Right now we're up. We had briefly been pretty close to 100 points up in profit, but we're sitting at about 60. My stop is still at a reduced risk. I'm okay with letting this kind of float around. I want to see how it holds and see if we can get another move with this big push down and it coming back in. If we can hold demand here and then we kind of spike maybe down to here, honestly, I'm open to stacking a bit more of a position on here. If this quickly drops back down, then I wouldn't do that. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's where we're at with Dow. This is a 5R that I'm going for. I haven't looked too much at currencies. As you guys know, I don't really like trading currencies on the smaller time frames. I definitely prefer a lower time frame approach. Distribution on pound is pretty clean. Sweep up and a little dump right here. Yeah, this thing was just absolutely melted away. So if we zoom in a little more, right, you can clearly see where money comes in with the pound. I've realized, and obviously I've known this, but I just remembered that I go through these charts really fast. I just zip through these. So if at any point I'm going too fast and you're like, hey man, chill the fuck out, give me a second to see what you're doing, then let me know. Like, I'm just running through my brain and I'm like trying to go slow, but I get wired. So here we see tons of liquidity swept right here. So this gets completely bodied, all of this, and then we make a 15-minute lower low. So you see how we have structure right here, guys, like a day and about 6 hours worth of price trading below here. These are really good signs. This is proof that there's more retail sellers below this level. The momentum has shifted to the downside with the pound. This may be happening with other assets as well, other USD pairs, but for sure you're seeing it here. So at least as of right now, when the market would work its way back up here for the pound, then we could look to short in this range. And you can look left, right? The good phrase, you look left to get right. So you look left to understand, okay, where are key reversal areas? So kind of sitting right below this 886. We've seen a lot of reversals here in the past. So looking for shorts around here. This is going to be key right there. I still have to do, some due diligence and see if we have something similar with Euro or anything else. But this would make sense. And then trading up down to around here, a little shy of a 3R. Looks good. So that's the pound. Let me go ahead and actually save this. Where's the school? You know what? I know I have this domain, tradingwithmike.com, but I never type it in myself. Oh, look at that. Sick. Okay, so here are today's setups. So if you guys ever miss the session, typically this should be here. I know I'm not perfect and I don't do it every day because sometimes, we're just locked in, but yeah, it'll be here. So make sure you're dialed in there, checking that out. And the syndicate sessions, we typically break down the setups of the day, whether it was mine, whether it was yours. And, we go through what that looks like to really make sure we're understanding our systems well and we're adhering to those systems. That was so tough, Mike. What was tough? Shake out, buy on NQ. Let me take a look. I need them lows. 86th, you heard. Industry talk. 86th. Bang, TP for 2.7R on silver. Badass. We'll probably take Tokyo too, but I'm good. Could you look at silver if you like the way I took it, if you have time? Yeah, let me run through majors and I got you. So the difference between the pound and euro is the pound had this massive buy on Monday, like a massive pump before it dumped down. And we don't really have that same type of orchestration with euro. So right now, I definitely lean more towards euro. I think that's really the share, like the setup that I like the most. Ooh, hold up. Okay, you guys saw how the yen absolutely lost its mind over here, right? Yeah, y'all see that? It just like woke up, erupted, and was like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of going down. I'm tired of devaluing. And you know what? Is it a surprise that when we left Tokyo, that they were like, you know what? We do have a strong currency, damn it. I don't think so. Clearly, the state of its entire economy was influenced by Nancy and I's presence there. There's no other logic. There's nothing else that could possibly be why at all. That's the reason. So we just had a nice liquidity sweep right here. right here, gutted the liquidity. Retail buyers, rest in peace. Good riddance. And right now it's is this the right contract? Yeah, I think so. And then right now we're seeing the shift. So if this continues to break above and we get higher highs on the yen, then I might be open to some buys. I know it's a little tricky because you have all of this imbalance over here in a lower zone, but we might have a little something. And then with the yen, you also see a hilarious, like the orchestration and the trading elite, they took over. There's just the most obnoxious, obvious market orchestration happening over here. Like, how do we go from this? How do we go from consolidation, just smaller candles, very little volume, and just look at the difference? And all of a sudden, it's like, bang, bang. Like, what? But why? Because the price got low enough. And now big money's like, all right, cool. We can just take over the markets. They've bled for long enough. Let's come to the rescue. So yeah, we have massive buy orders here. This liquidates and works its way right back down. So if we do keep trading to the downside, then selling probably somewhere in this area makes sense over here. So here you have liquidity, some lick. So selling over here makes sense. If the market stays bearish, if it goes bullish and we start seeing a shift in structure, then it might be a different story. So we'll see. This is pending. I need a couple more confirmations to confidently take a position over here with the yen. But keep your eyes on the yen. The yen is moving in peculiar ways. And when things are getting a little suspicious, that typically is good for our trading style. I forgot about this peso trade. Dang. Well, if you followed this peso idea, then you're welcome, I guess. Little rejection. Nice little play over here. Decent. Really only would have worked out if you took profit within this imbalance, which I think is a possibility for a lot of you. The cool thing is that this left a buy right over here. Massive, massive drop. And then now, it left some money over here. So it's like, hey guys, don't worry. We'll come back and you can join the party again. So we're chilling over here. All right, so this did its thing. Good job. Way to go, peso. And now we have a continuation here in motion. So where you take your position? Well, if you're looking at just the 4 hour, a lot of support has been here time and time again, right around like 0.570. And then there's also a little order block over here, a little rejection. So let's drop this down a little bit, like right there. So you can get a nice little play right there. If you want to put your stop below this consolidation, be my guest. I'm going to keep it here just in case it wants to wick into this and do one of those like just ridiculous retracement entries. I like, depending on how we work our way down, if we keep rallying higher, then it looks like we can, it looks like 3R trading, like exits are likely. 3.5 even, maybe going for higher highs. So it'll just kind of depend on how we work our way down, like what that looks like. But for now, we'll leave it like this. So here's another idea. Okay, peso, el peso. All right, let's give a little update on Dowski. All right, so NQ has been choppy. Chop City over here. Dow has been pushing upwards and then not holding it down. So we're seeing it's failing to make higher highs over here again and again. So right now, as we're kind of like filling the imbalances, this typically is a sign that there's not enough demand over here either. So reversals are likely. The market is trading here more than it's been trading down here. So this clearing these lows, I think, is possible, like swiping below here, trading downwards a bit more. I think it's a possibility. It's not, I don't have a new trade since we swept down and then failed to maintain these highs. So I'm not going to add anything to this. I'm just going to let this be. And that's really it. This trade did go, the risk was 60 points, and the market at its best saw about 130. So, is that right? 130. Yeah, so this did see about a 2R. So if you guys had a 2Rs on that, if anyone followed along, then I think you would have hit your TP. Bank of Japan is propping up their currency. The Fed stepped in. Well, who do you think talked to the Bank of Japan, huh? Who do you think went to the Fed? Come on. What do you think we were doing there? On vacation or something? Just enjoying ourselves? Eating an absurd amount of ramen? Couldn't be me. Go look at the name of the Fed over there. You'll see some coincidences. Okay, so you asked about silver, right? You were looking at silver, Caius. Did you drop a post already, so I can dissect it? Let's see. Yeah, if you guys wanted me to do, here we go. If you ever want me to walk through what you're doing, and you're in the syndicate, just drop them here, drop a post, and then let me know in the chat. The buy. So you saw super liquidity. The market then gave you higher highs on the 1 minute, and then you took the position here, especially where there was an order block, and then you let it rip to this high. You're a dog. You're a beast, dude. That's tight. So you took it right there. Right? Is this the right trade? Hold on. Here and here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's clean. That's clean. This is what you would call a reaccumulation trade. It's like a failed distribution. So when the market fails to make lower lows, it like breaks below, but then there's no demand, and you're in this higher zone. This is a pretty good trade. I actually really like that you didn't get too aggressive with it and you took your profit right here. I think that was a good call. Maybe it goes higher, but yeah, nice. Good stuff, good stuff. S&P pushing now. Dow is not. And NQ is. Interesting. So the price action flipped again. Still bullish. So NQ going a little bit higher. Weird. We'll just see it through. Now, if we want extra clues and to get a good grasp on if the market's ready to reverse fully, if there's more incentive for this to go lower, take a look at Bitcoin. Ooh. It's the Christian Bale, American Psycho. Ooh. Y'all know the meme. If you're a real one, you know. Or if you're just in this, if you're alive, you should have seen this by now. But look at this Bitcoin liquidity sweep right here. Like, check this out. Clears the lows, so tons of buyers for the last month or so. Right there, skirt, just liquidated stops. So many stops right here. This is stop city right here. That gets cleared, and then it's onwards. So that's a good sign right there. So liquidated, market runs, easy money. Now, what to do? So to take a position, I don't really like a Bitcoin position right now. Like, there's not really a good setup. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that this is a further sign that the market can now rally, that buy positions can join. Because remember, in order for big money to get in, and y'all got to get this one through your heads, if the biggest orders, in order for them to enter the market, there needs to be enough money on the other side. Right? There needs to be enough positions willing to be sold at these prices. So getting Bitcoin, where would stop losses typically exist? It would be right here, right? So there were a lot of retail buyers, or just buyers in general, that were willing to sell their positions below 79,450 here. So once the market gets here, it's like, oh, look, hundreds of millions in positions. Oh, excellent. Now I can get in here because someone's willing to give me this price. So there it is. And so, okay, that's cool. Now, naturally, where can the market go to? Well, there's a couple places, and we're going to go from the most likely to less and less likely. So first order of business here, the market's first priority is going to be to rebalance in the small time frame. So that's going to be the first priority. So the market working its way to fill some of the imbalance here and kind of getting to these key psychological levels, like the whole number is like 80,000. So the market just getting to here is pretty likely. So that's like the first place the market would want to go to. From there, then you want to think about, okay, well, where else would smart money want to get to? Then we're looking at liquidity as well. So there's more imbalance, but then there's this liquidity here from London session. So I don't know. There we go. So London highs and just a whole bunch of retail sellers. This is very, very possible for Bitcoin to target. First, this 80 level. From there, I guess the second target would be more of the imbalance that's closer to like 80,870, like right over here. And then you have this liquidity. So there's some key areas that I believe we could start seeing possible reversals for. And then this is like the move over here. So this is just Bitcoin giving you added context to the overall market, since it moves very similar, like it moves in unison for the most part with indices. Now we did have another rally with Dow, pushed us further, just a little bit further, 49,724. So this pushed again back over to a 2R. before it's losing momentum once again. And Q rallying, and S&P doing its thing. So it's volatile. It's a volatile one right now. Let's zoom out a little bit. Excuse me. And we're sitting at NQ is approaching the 23.6% level. That's just so you understand how far it's moving upwards. Dow is also approaching that 23.6. I'm not sure. They're pretty similar. So it looks like everything's back on track. Okay. Cool. Now, again, if you wanted to get a good exit price, remember this is a 60-point stop. Right now we're sitting at 130. So the first, I would say, conservative exit, high probability, would be for the market to trade just towards these highs right here. For all we know, the market might want to just liquidate some of these previous recent highs and then just call it a day. So it's possible. If that is the case, then it makes sense for you guys to want to take your profits here. I'm a bit more ambitious. That doesn't mean it's more likely to happen, but I am willing to see it through. One, Dow is leading the bullish move right now. Two, we just have liquidity up there. So I feel like we can work our way up there. And then now we've also successfully rebalanced everywhere. So if it's going to reverse, then we're going for a massive drop. So I would rather just kind of see this through. I am going to move my stop now into this low. So now we have our stop in profit. When it dropped into here and then squeezed, I feel like this still might be come into play later. Like it has equal lows here. So part of me wants to kind of let this be a little bit, give it more room. But since it's pumping through and it's going for a liquidity sweep, I like to get a bit more aggressive while it does that, just in case it pumps up just to drop right back in. When things like that happen, then sometimes that's kind of giving you, like that is the sign. Like the only reason we got to here is because we just needed to clear liquidity. So if it pumps and then dumps right away, typically like the market's done moving in this direction and then it'll reverse. So like tightening your stops and being a bit more aggressive, that at least helps you keep more of your money. So like for example, we just took out this high right here. We break above a little bit. Not quite the smart money, pump that I'm saying, but it's kind of similar to that. Looks like NZD and CAD have similar setups to GBP. Let's see. I might have missed it. Oil still doing its thing. Oil getting pretty close to these reversal zones. All right. Australian, no setup there. CAD, the timing is a little different. This is Monday 9 a.m., 10 a.m. CAD has a pump here Monday. Oh yeah, it is like the same time. So CAD spikes up, drops. So here's the lower low, lower high. The market gets below for a couple hours, comes back up though. The structure isn't as great right here. The structure is not as great. It actually looks like it mitigated here just now. Looks like that sell-off bought up right here. So I see why you'd want to sell. I think you're looking for a sell around here. Let me know if that's how you were looking at this, Patrick. I would just keep an eye out on. This is not a trade that I'd say is valid yet. I think if the pound is still, like, let's say if CAD is over here, but pound still doesn't get to that zone, I would just wait for that instead. And then NZD doesn't have the same price. You had this pump right here from yesterday during Asian session, right? It spikes up and then drops. I think this by itself could, like, there's definitely a smart money buy here, but all of these retail equal highs, this liquidity, sketchy. So the market, if you zoom out some more, the market's in a is bullish on NZD. So it can prioritize continuing its trend over the small time frame sells. So I'm gonna be mindful of that right there. On the bright side, Corey, I think your take profit just got hit on Dow. So well done. Well done, my guy. Liquidity is in the process of being swept. So I'm gonna move my stop way over to here, just in case this is just a pump to liquidate and then immediately reverses, which we see. If that doesn't happen and this maintains its highs, then I can go ahead and kind of readjust and give myself a little bit more room to survive these kind of moves. But now the stop is at a 2R, just about. Look at how, see how it takes the highs and comes right back in. Yeah, I don't like that. So, I mean, this could just tag me out and then run. That's totally possible. Let's see. I think that's it. Yep. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this because typically, now what would be annoying is if it wicks down just to come right back up. But now what did we got, right? We got a sweep of quite a bit of retail. So this pumps up, takes out hours worth of retail sellers into here, and then makes its move back down. So the only way I'm in another position here is if we happen to come back up again and then we're able to do something else. So this collectively was about a 2R. Cool. I'm cool with that. Never gonna be mad about a 2R right there. And then if this, let's say, like rallies and we end up coming back up to trade like over here or something, we just come back up and we maintain some highs, cool. Then I'm down for a buy position somewhere over here, taking these lows and then just kind of seeing this thing do its thing. But if it doesn't do this, which it looks like it's not, then no dice. But yeah, man. So that was a good trade. Dow, 2R, locked in. Anyone holding this? Corey, you got the best of it, bro. You got the liquidity sweep. Nice. Good work, mate. Good work. Oil news in 5 minutes. Oil news in 5 minutes. TP hit. Badass, dude. And Q for the shakeout. That was good, right? He took out, it dropped, came back in. It dropped to Tokyo lows. Didn't clear it, but it didn't. I mean, apparently it mitigated it here. The NQ buy, someone I know, it was D trading. I don't remember who that is exactly, but yeah, right there. And that was beautiful. All right, Mike. Thanks. About head out later, guys. Enjoy it. Took TP on YM. Sick. All right, let's see. So now NQ got above, let's see, it traded towards what, New York Open? Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's good. Let's see, got a 4 on YM, appreciate you. Nice. Holding NQ. Legend. Yeah, so you guys you said you guys saw a shakeout on NQ, right? Came up, squeezed for a bit, and then right here took it for a spin. Nice. Yeah, I like the management on this setup here. You know, this way you take the most. Otherwise, I'd be giving back up another full risk. So, cool. I saw something about gold. I forgot who asked me something about gold. No, I don't see it. No me gusta la compra. Someone earlier asked about buys on gold. I'm not buying gold. It's way more bearish than silver. And then gold sells. I see how it took liquidity here. This is too choppy. Looks. I don't like it. I'm chilling. I'm chilling on metals. There you go. Silver went and took out those Tokyo highs. Okay. Cool. All right. So to wrap up, and remember, there was the Bitcoin, right? Is what we were talking about with the confluence. Bitcoin does look like it can still go further. So I wonder if it's just a matter of repositioning here with indices. I don't know. Not going to force it. I'm going to wrap up with some stocks. If anyone has a request, feel free to let me know. But I talked about accumulating Adobe and Nintendo. So Adobe here in this entry zone. So I'm going to go with an options play too with Adobe. And then on top of that, we were looking at, where's Nintendo? Cool, here we are. So yeah, picking this up, stacking. The market cap is 8.828 trillion on Nintendo. Yen, I'm assuming. Yes, must be the yen. That'd be crazy. We'll say it one more time to plug the syndicate shamelessly. The cortisol spike when I got almost stopped in profit was insane, but thanks to the syndicate, I was aware. Hey man, I love that. I love that you're able to just see it happening in real time and then mitigate that. Like, have that conversation with yourself. Be aware of why these things happen the way that they happen, and do that. Like that's awesome. Let's see. Solar, big pump today. A lot of the solar stocks on the move. Tight. Anyone here trading? And I appreciate you guys sharing. Guys, if you have been considering the syndicate, what I'll say with this, with all the conviction in the world, and obviously the people that are here can speak for themselves, who have invested in themselves and have done it. It's amazing to say that we have our two first official sovereign syndicate traders, where they have committed to doing this as their main income stream based on the traders that they are now. When they started, they weren't at that point. And so I'm just grateful that I can be part of so many of your journey, whether you're in the free community, whether you're wanting to just really get it down and just lock in for 30 days to take it to a place where you're very experienced, or you're looking for that transformation into like truly being a professional, turning it into the main income stream because you know it's for you. And yeah, we officially have 2 of our traders now that have quit their jobs to do this as their main income stream. So it's been really, really awesome to see. If that's something that you're interested in and you know like you're 100% committed to trading, and this isn't something you're just curious about, then 100% feel free to learn more about it. See if it's for you, see if it all makes sense. And if you have any questions or anything that you're considering, you're not sure about, regardless of what it is, it would make sense at least for you to have the conversation about it. So I just dropped a link here. I pinned it. Make the decision. Like if you really, really want to make this happen, I genuinely believe you can do it. Even if it's with us or without us, like I just believe anyone can get it done. All I have to say is that we just accelerate the journey and we're able to give you a perspective that you just might not be seeing for yourself. But with that being said, much love, y'all. Quit my job and live off this is my dream for real. So what are you going to do to make your dreams come true? Like, what does it take? That's always what we got to just do what's required at the end of the day. That's all that can be done. Okay. Y'all, good stuff. We'll wrap up right there. Remember, if you haven't already, register for Tradeify's tournament. That's next week. It's gonna be lit. If you don't have an account, you just you can just make one at the, what's it called? You can use our code and then you'll get a discount. I think you can register even for free even if you don't have an account. So you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, go ahead, run that up. I'm stoked. All of Tradetopia can do some damage. Top 1,000. Like so many of us are going to be in that first top 1,000, and then from there, it's going to get even better. So I expect, and I'm excited to announce everyone that starts to take some prizes home, because they're going to learn how we really do it out here. So collectively, I'm excited to see Tradetopia show out for this tournament, and then I'll be, keeping you guys updated. We'll be doing these sessions together so we can, climb the ranks, win some prizes, win some money. 200K for the number 1. So let's get that dub. And yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna figure out the lighting with this because it looks like I'm in heaven over here, but I guess I am. And then now I'm really dark, but there's the background. All right, y'all, have a good day. Peace.